It's time for DC in the 80s. And tonight we're talking about DC Comics Presents issue 67. This is a team-up story, Superman and Santa Claus in the DC Universe, 1984. This one's written by Len Wein with artwork by Curt Swan. So let's dive into this. So it starts off with this kid trying to rob a storefront Santa. And Superman shows up because no crime is beneath Superman's notice. And by the way, the story is called Trust the Fright Before Christmas. There were other people involved. Their credits are right there. So this kid is sticking up a storefront Santa. Superman shows up to stop him. Kid shoots him with a toy gun. Turns out the kid's hypnotized. And he takes the kid to the Fortress of Solitude. Superman finds out, this is pre-crisis by the way, Superman finds out that the toy gun hypnotized the kid as soon as he fired it to go and commit crimes and take the money to the Shot Toy Company. Or to steal toys and take the toys to the Shot Toy Company. Oh, guess who that means? That means Toy Man. Superman figures this out pretty quick. He understands what's going on. He's talking to the kid. By the way, Superman very reassuring of this child. He locks up the Fortress of Solitude, and then he flies the kid back to safety. However, the kid has this other toy with him that the ray hits Superman and knocks him the fuck out. So him and the kid, notice the kid is wrapped up in his cape so that he can survive the Arctic weather. Superman gets knocked the fuck out there in the Arctic snow, the Arctic freeze, which of course we know is close to the North Pole, right? So anyway, Superman is there dying. The kid will die eventually, but these mysterious magical elves show up and they take Superman away. Meanwhile, yes, it is the Toy Man's plot. He's got a plot to have all these hidden messages and kids' toys and take over the world or some shit. Who knows, man? It's just Toy Man stuff, right? Then Superman wakes up and he's got these crazy elves around him and he's like, what the hell's going on? Notice the artwork in this book. Really solid stuff. It's very house style. It's very on the point, on the nose, but it's Curt Swan doing Superman. It's a great classic looking Superman. You even have some interesting composition like you have here. Then, yep. There you go. Superman has been saved by Santa's elves. He is now there in the North Pole. And Superman's like, yo, I live up here. My Fortress of Solitude is here. I should know. And Kris Kringle, Santa Claus, is like, yo, man, not if I don't want you to know. I'm magic, yo. And we know Superman is vulnerable to magic, right? So anyway, they realize that there's this plot by Toy Man. So it turns out that Santa Claus, my bad, is spying on absolutely frickin' everyone. Okay? That's what he does. To tell if you're naughty or nice. He's spying on the Toy Man. They figure out that he's up to no good. They decide that they need to gather their forces and go and stop the Toy Man together, Santa and Superman. Meanwhile, Superman recollects on a Kryptonian toy he had when he was a kid. He has this really nice bit where he says, we always have nostalgia or something for the very first toys we remember. And he remembers this mental thought projector toy he had as a kid on Krypton, which is obviously making an homage to Battle Cat from Motu. That's dope. So Santa and Superman go off together to stop the Toy Man. This is really fun stuff, y'all. And Superman shows up. They just start blasting, right? All these toys start fighting Superman. Superman gets hit with his energy rays that starts making him feel heavy or whatever. Look at some really great... Hit the wrong button. Look at some really great composition here from Curt Swan and company. Some of it's standard and normal, but then you start breaking the mold a little bit. A little bit more. Look at that panel right there, how it breaks the panel. That's pretty cool for 84. But yeah, standard type stuff. And then it starts breaking a little bit more, doing some cool things with the action sequences. Superman and Santa versus... So Superman's there fighting the Toy Man's evil toys. Santa adds in his own toys. And now you got toys versus toys and all that kind of stuff. That's some great composition right there. Right there, too. So now you got Santa's toys versus Toyman's toys. Santa Toys wins, by the way. There's not much to this story, to be honest with you. But it's a nice, fun holiday type classic Superman tale that if you have kids, for instance, you could totally read this comic book with them, you know, bedtime around Christmas time. And it would be really cool. So they wind up taking the Toyman in. And yeah, that's the whole point right there, right? Santa and Superman team up. They defeat the Toyman. And then they drop off this kid who's been helping them. He has a nice, happy Christmas. Superman goes and replaces all the Toyman messed up toys with real toys. And then all of a sudden, it's over, and he wakes up. He gets hit by the ray again, and he wakes up, and it's like it was all a dream. It never happened, right? The kid's still there. He's still there. They're in the Arctic. He takes them to safety, takes them to his parents. They're all cool that Superman kidnapped their kid for the day. And then he gets home and realizes that apparently Superman has this pouch in the inside of his cape that keeps all of his clothes in it. That's interesting. But inside of it, he finds out that he's got this mental projection toy that he loved from Krypton. And he's like, but was it real? It was real. Superman's vulnerable to magic. Superman teaming up with Santa Claus, y'all. That was some fun stuff. So here's my copy right here. We're going to pull it out of the bag. We're going to take a look at it because there's some fun stuff here. So this was a real fun issue. First of all, it says there's a Teen Titans poster by George Perez. That is not in the one that I have, unfortunately. We got this great back ad for the Motu video game. Look at that. Commodore 64 and shit. I want to play that. I've never played that. But it's a fun issue, man. This is a really fun issue to read. Like I said, if you have kids or even if you just have pets, it really works. The newsprint, I really like the newsprint. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of cartoonist kayfabe. I like the idea of how the coloring works on newsprint back in the day. Like I can dig like the recolorings, the more bold poppy colors on things like the 60s stuff, but like when it comes to 80s, I prefer the newsprint. 80s and 90s. Doesn't quite work on the glossy paper for me. But a real fun comic book that's a really nice thing to reread around the holiday season. I do want to point out there's this ad here. All right, so there's an ad for this, like, first of all, there's an ad for a fucking fishing pole in a comic, right? That's wild. And it's a licensed Marvel ad, so Spider-Man's there. This is a DC comic with a fishing pole ad with Spider-Man selling it and not Superman. How freaking wild is that, man? But no, I really like this issue. I think it's solid. Look at those ads, man. Those are the Remco figures? Yeah, man. I'd like to get a hold of some of those. I want one of those damn tents. Remember that spaceship tent? I was like, I want one of those. But it's a really fun story. It's classic. It's cool. It's fun. It's cheesy. It's dumb. But at the same time, it just really hits all of those things for you. So all in all, I'd give it this issue a 3.5. You digs, which I think is pretty solid for what it is. And that has been DC in the 80s.